I'm going to show how to make a new symbol in the gCADPlus environment, and I'm going to make it in the way that the symbols in the plant library were created. The first thing I would do is set some new layers. LPLNT construction, LPLNT symbol. And we'll put all the symbology for the plant symbol on the symbol layer, and we'll put a circle with a marker in the middle on the construction layer. So what I'll do right now is make the construction layer current. So whatever I draw on the construction layer will be current. The other thing to note is that the circle that I've drawn on the construction layer, you can check here's its layer, and you can see that its diameter is a meter. So that's a meter. If you were making it for the Imperial USA environment, you'd make the diameter of the circle 3 feet. So whenever we put the symbol down, we're putting a symbol down at about 3 feet or a meter or so in diameter. We can scale it up or down. But I digress just a little. So we've got a circle, which the construction team will use to indicate to them the location of the new plant. What I'll now do is pick the rectangle command, and I'll draw a 2-point rectangle just in the center of the symbol. And I've got a color that's quite dark, so it's a little difficult for you to see. Let's change that drawing color to by layer, and I'll draw a line now from the midpoint of there to the mid of the bottom. What I'm aiming to do, and I'll repeat that command from the midpoint again, what I'm aiming to do is to put a little cross in the middle. Oops, I want the midpoint of that line. Once that's done, I'll erase the rectangle. So now I've got a marker. So in fact, if I go to the layers and I make layer 0 current, and I turn off the plant symbol layer, the symbology will disappear and we'll just be left with a circle and a cross in the middle, which will indicate to a construction team where to put the symbol. So let's turn the symbol layer back on. We'll turn off the construction layer. So here's our symbol. The next thing I want to discuss is, notice that this might represent a grass, and the grass might have spikes on which small flowers might be developed, and fruits. And I've drawn the fruits using a couple or 4 ellipses and some lines and so on. If we select everything that makes up the little floret, you can see that there are 19 entities in there. That's a very inefficient way to draw. Far more efficient to take a group like that, right click, and create a block. Now let's imagine that the name of this little grass is going to be Lomandra longifolia, and I'm going to put it in the named folder. So we'll give the name Lomandra longifolia seed, because that's what it's representing. And we'll say OK. Now when I select it, it's just one object. If I zoom in, you can see it's just the one object. And that will enable me to produce a much better symbol that can be used over and over again. If I remove all these entities, I won't do all of them, and I'll take that symbol there and just copy it all the way down through here, and I might rotate things. Notice the little rotation handle is not on. If I go to Tools and Global Parameters, and do we want to display the system cursor, the crosshair? Yes, we do. What I'm looking for are grips, and I want to enable the grips. So grips should be on, and I'm just a little puzzled as to why I'm not seeing that little indicator that works for draw the index of the grip. Yes, there. And so I'll just cancel there for a moment. When you put a symbol in, and I'll demonstrate why it's bothering me. Let's pick from the library one of the standard plant symbols. We'll just throw plant symbol 1 in and insert it into the drawing, and we'll put it down there. When I pick a block, I should see that little handle and be able to rotate it. So the drawing environment is in fact correct. What I'm puzzled about is when I pick that block, I can't see it. And bingo, we see the handle way over here. What that means is that we've made the block inefficiently. Let's make it much better. We'll explode it, redo it, pick it again, and create a block that will say, where's the base point going to be? Pick point in the middle there, and we'll OK. Do we want to redefine it? Yes, we do. And of course the group that we put over here just needs moving. So now they can go back into position, and I can work through any of those and just rotate them. So you can see that we've made a block now. It's a much more workable block now that we've fixed up that little problem. And as we work through here and over here and eliminate all of those little seed symbols that have been drawn very inefficiently, and I'll stop at that point. Oops, I'll stop at that point and we'll assume that they've all been done, and we're now in a position to save the symbol. I'll right click and zoom extents. I brought in an extra block, you remember, so I'll go to the blocks here, and we don't want that one, so we delete it, and we'll say delete all unused blocks, and all the unused blocks have been removed, and we can close. So now we have, if we save, I've put it in my blocks plants named folder. So the next time I start this copy of gCADPlus, I'll be able to find this particular block in that folder and be able to use it over and over again. I'll join on a little movie when I've finished doing the more laborious tricking up of the final symbol. So I hope that gives you a good idea of how you make symbols and then just save them into the block library in a folder that makes sense to you. So there's a symbol for a grass. Or we're making a symbol of Lomandra longifolia, and the seed pods or seed masses tend to be born on lighter coloured shards or stalks such as that, and tend to be arranged in clumps and clusters. So there's our symbol. Well, let's return to a typical design and see if we can use our new symbol. So we'll say library, plants, named, and here's Lomandra longifolia. There's our little snapshot of it, and we say open it and insert into this drawing, and it should come in, give us that box, and we can pop it down in that position, and we'll copy it, say 3 times, maybe 4. So we now have 4 copies of that symbol that we made, and it will be available to us in the future. Of course, it doesn't have to indicate a particular Lomandra. That could be a generic grass symbol.